Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Innovation Forum. I'm actually Allan from Sense China Limited, Vice President of E-commerce and Digital Transformations. I'm very honored to be welcome everyone, be our guest today, and our guest speaker as well. We have a lot of great speakers today to share their thought about different business or organizations on that part. But actually digital and innovations actually brings us together into today's topic. We will actually share around topics about how traditional business transfer into digital and how our different culture in different business, how are we actually moving step by step into our next steps about leveraging the digital, leveraging the technology, leveraging the latest people talking about AI technologies and all those things. So let's welcome our guest speaker, and then let's get started. Yeah, thank you all. Let us enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allan Chung, for your inspiring words. Please take a seat on stage. As we delve into our first panel discussion, which focuses on strategies for nurturing a culture of innovation with organizations. We have a distinguished lineup of panelists who will share their insights and expertise on this important topic. Please welcome Mr. James Chou, CEO and Managing Director of Microsoft for Startups, Greater China Region, Japan and Korea. Ms. Ruifu, former Director of Fujifilm China Innovation Center. Ms. Angela Chen, Global Investment Lead, Swire Properties New Ventures. And this panel will be moderated by Ms. Jane Zhang, Tech Reporter for Bloomberg.
Thank you everyone for joining me in this panel discussion. I'm Jane Zhang from Bloomberg. I cover technology in China and other regions as long as there's a China perspective. I focus on the big tech giants and also startups and also the VC and PE firms that back all the startups in this region. So today with me are our 4 guest speakers. Let me do a brief introduction of them. So today here with me are James Chou, Managing Director of Microsoft Startup North Asia, and Ruifu, former Director of Fuji China Innovation Center, Allan, Vice President of E-commerce and Digital Transformation at Sense China, and Angela Zhang, Global Investment Lead of Swire Properties New Ventures. As we all know, ESG is becoming an important factor and topic in the corporate governance, and innovation is becoming more and more important. Maybe we can start with a self-introduction first and to say how innovation is part of your job and your company. Maybe we can go with James.
Hi. Yeah, so I'm in charge of a business called Microsoft for Startup in China. So about 11 years ago, Microsoft realized startup is super important. It's a very important ecosystem for Microsoft. Microsoft is a platform company, and we are right now our mission is helping other companies to do digital transformations. But a lot of times, we have a variety of the customers. And such as maybe Sense, maybe like a Swire in property. So you not just simply sell them the cloud or AI. You need to also provide solutions. So a lot of those forefront solutions are actually coming for startups. So we recruit startups. We help them get ready to serve our enterprises. So during the last 11 years in China, I incubated, accelerated more than about 800 startups. And also I did a co-innovations with a lot of Fortune 500 companies, connect the enterprise use cases and needs with startups innovations.
谢谢 James 分享。瑞富，您在这个富士中国也是负责创新方面的。我想问一下，您在您的工作中，创新是一个怎么样的角色？然后您在富士之前的工作是怎么样的？
好的，大家好，我是来自富士胶片中国投资有限公司创新中心的顾问，我现在是作为创新中顾问在工作。大家知道富士胶片公司，大家曾听到过这个名字，非常的熟悉，但是又感觉比较陌生的一个企业。因为以前在胶卷的时代，可以大街小巷到处可以见到胶卷，或者今天在座的很多年轻的人都不知道胶卷是个什么东西。但是富士胶片公司，它又是一个存在，仍然是一个规模很大的一个企业。那它到底经历了些什么？其实这整个的过程就是富士胶片如何拥抱这个数码的时代，如何进行创新、进行转型的这样一个过程。非常高兴能今天在这里和大家一起共享这样的一个信息。我们富士胶片公司的创新中心，是基于日本总部呢是在公司设立80周年的时候，在公司内部做了一个开放创新中心，随后就在美国、在欧洲也设立这样一个开放创新，继而就在中国也设立的一个开放创新。所以我们今天这次也是来出展Beyond S Pro， 也是非常高兴能与很多初创企业大家一起进行交流，把富士的一些核心技术能够和大家一起共享，看看大家一起能够共创做一些什么样的创新。谢谢。
Allan。
Hello. Since China in Macau is actually an integrated resort. As you know that integrated resort is actually quite a compact business. For example, if we are talking about, I'm actually in e-commerce and digital transformations. Just now we talked about with the speaker sharings on that part. We started with e-commerce department, and then we entitled into joining into digital marketing in order to promote our properties. And then we lately, in these few years, we realized that in terms of our digital marketing, we need to link it up with digital technology. So that's why our departments or our teams are actually formulated to that area. To the innovations, I think one of the key things is actually, if you ask about service business, travel business, integrated resort, do we want to make a change? It's actually customer need to make a change. So that's why our business need to make a change. In before, we're talking about marketing. We're talking about we deliver leaflet, email marketing to the customers. But right now, because the customers are actually mobile friendly in terms of our social medias and all those things as well. So we need to make a change in order to make innovations on the digital, in order to reach them more wisely and more efficiently, kind of things like that. So that's why we are actually formulating about our company into a change to receive what the customers want to make a change in the market, and then we adapted to it about the innovations to bring in new technology for our customers on that. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, Angela.
Hello. Is it working?
Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Angela. I lead the venture capital arm of Swire Properties, which is one of the leading premium real estate owner-operators in Asia and in the States. So for us, innovation has always been at the forefront. Real estate and construction have been notoriously slow in adopting a lot of technologies, which is why I credit our management team for having the foresight of having an innovation team, as well as carving out balance sheet money for this corporate venture capital arm. So for us, we have a global mandate. We invest into early stage tech startups globally across any area that we find strategically relevant, which could range from construction to real estate, to Web3, retail, ESG and sustainability. It's quite a flexible mandate, but we are always scouting for new technologies that we can either invest into or become a client of.
Thanks for sharing. As you can see, our panelists are really from different industries and have diversified background. So I really want to know, like, given all these like disruptive innovations around the world, like, how do you guys find the synergies between your core businesses and the innovations, especially those that are far from commercialization? Maybe we can start with James. I think, OpenAI and Microsoft are now really the hot topic, and, ChatGPT took the global tech industry by storm.
Okay. Yeah, Microsoft is a tech company, so it's a very competitive market. So innovation is certainly part of the DNA of the companies. Our product groups consist of a lot of talented engineers. And then we also have R&D centers, especially like Microsoft Research, established a long time ago. We hire a lot of PhDs who look kind of like, various different forefront basic researchers. And then somehow the product group is responsible for, making the money, how to commercialize the researches into a product to serve our customers. Certainly, within the company, we also have business development groups, which is also looking externally, externally acquire companies, invest strategic companies. That's how we invested in OpenAI long time ago. I think when you look at, just maybe take the ChatGPT as an example, OpenAI, certainly the technology behind it, it's what they call a GPT transformer. It was actually invented by Google, right? Google published a paper on this. But, OpenAI just takes these particular technologies and make it more real. And I think you probably read about it. One thing about like the ChatGPT, when Microsoft adopt and working with OpenAI to commercialize it, to bring to the marketplace, we all talk about the speed when we do things more like startups, right? So that's why, when OpenAI announced the ChatGPT since last November, and in February and during the last 2 or 3 months, so many announcements happening with this GPT AI technologies available. Certainly, there's a lot of areas where we also encourage our employee to do a lot of innovations. So within company, we have a lot of other programs. One of those programs called Garage. So it's kind of, we have various different development center in Redmond and also outside of Redmond, maybe in India, China, Israel. So we also have a program and a space called a Garage where engineers can go there to try things. And then annually, we also, within the company, through a hackathon, encourage various different employees form groups to come up with new ideas for those.
傅瑞你好，您讲了富士胶片，因为我们都知道柯达这个案例其实是商学院都很经典的一个案例。每当有创新出来的时候，是应该要拥抱这个变化，还是说要保护自己的护城河？所以我其实挺想知道您在富士里面怎么看现在就是 all the digitalization trend， 然后你们是怎么看就是这种离商业化很远的创新，还甚至说能颠覆你已有商业模式的这样的创新，和现在你们核心的这种商业模式的这种 conflict 或者矛盾的呢？
富士确实是面临着这样的问题，就是早在就是2000年的时候，因为那个时候，因为富士原来是做传统的胶卷，那么在2000年的时候，这个传统胶卷由于数码技术的出现，让这个业务断崖式的下滑，非常的厉害。那么公司正是这个时候是处于生死存亡的时候，这必须考虑我们怎么样的进行转型，转型的方向怎么走，各种各样的道路都有。那么富士呢，因为他他的思考是怎么样，就说他当时就运用了一个4象限的分析，就说我现在现有的产品，我现在所处于的市场，首先，那么这个市场里面消费者他现在有了什么样的新的需求？ 比如说，首先那个数码时代到来，消费者肯定是非常希望愿意有新的一些带有新的技术的那个产品。那么我如何把我现有的传统的那个产品如何升级到这个数码化的那个方面的技术？那么我富士胶片首先这条路肯定是要走，就是说，所以我们就把一些，比如说在那个医疗领域，就从传统的 X 光片那个拍诊断的那个产品，升级到用数字来体现的那个计算机放射诊断的那个设备来，就是把我们的产品就升级换代。介入那个数码化的技术，让那个消费者能够那个用到我们更新的这个产品，这是一个维度。另外一个维度也考虑到我们的这些技术在胶卷没有了的时代，那么这些技术是不是能够跨界的运用到其他的行业里面去？那个时候我们正好是找到的一个，比如说那个电视显示屏，那个时代正好是电视机从显像管的时代往平面的时代方向的转移。那这个平面时代的那个这个显像器，它里面需要很多光学的薄膜，各种各样的光学的膜，而恰好富士是做胶卷的时代，是做这个膜和涂膜的技术和光学的技术的，它最拿手的。那我可不可以从这个胶卷的那个产品吸附到这个新的行业的领域？我就进入了一个新的那个市场了，就等于是这样通过这个四象限的分析，最终极的是对我来讲，市场也是新的，技术也是新的，那就是我们富士考虑到，今后公司要保持可持续的发展的话，就是要从事与人们的健康非常相有关的那个业务，所以我们决定那个也是通过资本的兼并收购，进军了那个医疗的领域，在医疗的做的那个从预防到诊断到治疗，甚至现在那个进入了细胞治疗方面的一个业务的领域的开拓。这次我们也出展了这方面的生命科学的那个产品，就是往这个产品方向发展。就是所以话，这就是我们个核心的那个业务跟新的业务之间的这样一种融合的这种思路，这种做法。
Interesting to know that Fuji China is also into healthcare industry. And how about Sense?
I think one of the key mindset about, because we have a visions in terms about, and then we have our core business as a travel industry, as a service industry.
Yeah.
One of the things that we always share with the teams and also internals as a visions is actually we have our core main business. We are actually leveraging technology, but we are not forcing ourselves to actually make a change in terms of something we cannot leverage on. So this is make a key visions in terms about if new technology coming out that we can actually leverage to help on our service, to help on this marketing, how we make it more efficiency for the operations, or actually for the content driven on the marketing side, how we can actually more efficiency, we will leverage it. But in terms of we are lucky enough that we actually separate that, saying that we are not actually a technology company. We know that. We are not actually chasing on that technology or being a pioneer in terms of our technology on that side. We are not actually, I always make a joke with my colleagues saying that in the mobile apps that we are creating for the Sense as a service company, we do not need to create new behavior in terms of our customers using on a mobile phone. For example, if iPhone is actually described it by this way, we are not changing it by this way in order to make a change. We are actually adapting into what customers' actually behavior will be, as well as technology. We leverage on technology. This is the key words that we actually always talking about as a team, how we actually leverage it, how we actually brings in the benefit from the technology to our business on that part. Yeah, thanks.
So there must be a lot of cooperation between you guys and the tech companies, maybe like Microsoft?
Definitely, okay. Definitely. We do a lot of collaborations in terms of at the very beginnings, I think a few years ago when talking about technology, even though technology, digital transformations is under e-commerce and digital marketing department, which our key focus on marketing, bringing customers in as well on that part. A lot of cases actually, even in before this kind of expo, when talking about technology, we are actually, the marketing team will actually coming into, this is actually too tech enough on that part. But I see a big change in this year, especially on the AI, on the ChatGPT, when marketing is about content, my content team's actually being more interested about technology, because in before they actually need to create a content by themselves. Right now, they know that technologies can help them to create certain content which can actually reach the customers on targeting customers on personalizations, which help them on more efficiency on that part. This is about a change about technology. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing the generative AI part. I think that's my next question. Okay. How about Angela? How about Swire?
Yeah, I mean, same as what Allan said about SANS. We have external partnerships with a lot of technology companies in terms of automating and digitizing a lot of the systems we have in-house. But I think what is more, equally, if not more important, is having the internal culture of innovation, right? And what does that even mean? That basically means having processes, systems, habits, and values that encourage innovation, right? And that has to come from internal. And so how do we cultivate that, right? So we have, for instance, an innovations team, and within the innovations team, we have a tech adoption team. And so those colleagues essentially focus on scouting external technologies that we can use internally. We design 3 to 6 month pilot projects, POC trials. So how to integrate the startup mentality that James was talking about into a large format corporation is really important, right? Because in a startup, you can afford to be nimble, you can afford to be flexible. You know, you have the motto, fail quick, fail cheap, and move on. So how you can put that in execution in corporate, I think is very important. And so having, small format experiments like tech adoption, I think is really cool. The other thing is mentality, right? And I think that really comes down to that really is a top-down culture that needs to be put in place. So for instance, like for us, we're quite an old company, right? And there's a lot of inertia against change. There's a lot of inertia against innovation. So how do you encourage colleagues to speak up, to think creatively, to try and play with ChatGPT when it comes out, right? To speak, and then to think about as an individual, right? We can't always rely on very large, cumbersome teams to make decisions. You really have to go back to the individual to inspire them to be creative on their own. So I think that's really important.
Thanks for sharing. And I think there's always a debate about, being innovative as a big company and being innovative for startups. Because some people argue that, big tech giants or big companies have more resources to be innovative. They have the money, they have the resources. But for startups, they may have the flexibility to be more innovative. So I want to know because Angela, you are an investor, and as James, maybe you are both working for a big company and also invested in startups. Maybe we can start with you to say, how do you say, as a big company, what are the challenges and opportunities to be innovative?
So as you said, right, it's a double-edged sword. We have the resources, but then it might take a lot of time to get those resources and to put things in place. And so, planning can sound glamorous and amazing, but it really comes down to execution. And so execution, again, comes down to mentality. And it's a very soft thing, really, but it is so important because we've seen time and time again within our corporation, across business units, we have a lot of pain points, but how do you translate those pain points and to use that technology to address those pain points is the most important thing. Last year we had Metaverse and Web3, being really hyped up, and this year we had, AI and generative AI and ChatGPT and all that. We often see a lot of technologists coming out with amazing technologies looking for solutions. Solutions looking for problems, right? And that should be the other way around, right? And so for us, I think as a corporation, it is important to have, as I mentioned, small format experiments so you can utilize the resources that you have in place to test things out quickly and to ship things out quickly, as in using startup methodologies.
How about James? Because I think when the ChatGPT really took the global tech industry by storm, people ask the question, why is OpenAI a startup? Why is not Google? Why is not Microsoft in the very beginning? So I think you must have lots to say.
Yeah, as I mentioned, in the last 7 years, I worked more than 100, large enterprises, mostly Fortune 500 company in various different industry, who's looking to do what I call it open innovation, just go beyond the company. Because normally we talk about innovations, we just have maybe a tech companies, you have an R&D form. And R&D always working lab. And then, a lot of times, what we call it disruptive innovations, right? Because within a large companies, you have some business, maybe it's a cash cow business, and then it's innovation product services maybe cannibalize your existing cash cow business. So that's what they sometimes call it the innovator's dilemma. It's hard for us to decide, So a lot of innovation ideas maybe come up within company get killed. And also, as the engineers working in the same lab, every day they are facing the same thing, and a lot of times they cannot think out of the box. So I think that's another trend called open innovation. As Angela mentioned, they go outside, scouting startups, knowing others what's happening in the world, and also look at various different industry. So I'll just give you one example. So I was working with one of the leading FMCG companies in the last 2 months. Their CEO said to me, "We don't know what we don't know, because we're all so focused on our industry." And then what I did, I just bring, based on their use cases, I bring another 4 startups to them, just as all their senior management teams, all C-suites, just listen what startup does and what startups does for other FMCG cases. It really opened up their mind. A lot of times before, they always think, have a mentality, why do we do this? Why do we do that? And then after those, they would say, why not do this? So as everyone mentioned, innovation a lot of times is about culture change, right? We all talk about maybe culture may eat strategy for breakfast. So within Microsoft itself, I think when our new CEO Satya come on board, we have a lot of smart people. But one of the culture he tried to insist within the company is what he called it D&I, and also called a growth mindset. Before Microsoft always think a lot of people within Microsoft say we're very smart, we know it all. But the culture will change from a know it all to learn it all. So that's super important within company.
That's really good to hear. And 瑞富，我想知道富士作为一个大的公司，它在做创新的时候，您觉得作为一个大公司有什么挑战吗？还有就是最新的这个 ChatGPT 和就是生成式 AI 的这些浪潮，你们是怎么拥抱这些新的变化的呢？
好的，那我首先介绍一下关于现在新的AI 人工智能的技术，就富士胶片公司怎么样拥抱。因为首先就是转型的第一阶段，这是从传统的化学的这转型到数码的平台上，然后在这个基础上也是比如就拿我们的医学诊断领域来讲，也是积累了很多图像的技术，因为诊断都是用各种各样的放射图像啊、内窥镜的图像、超声波图像还有各种各样的医疗影像。那么通过这个医疗积累那么多的医疗影像，通过计算机的深度学习，那么公司也开发了运用人工智能的医疗辅助诊断的这个技术。那么医院的医生可以通过这样的一些人工智能的技术来进行会诊的时候进行辅助诊疗，或者是在做手术的之前可以做手术的演示预演，来帮助医生做好手术方案这样的，就是类似这样的。这在我们的产品中，首先把些人工智能的一些因素技术融合进去，就是让我们的产品更加的升级换代。那么从大企业创新挑战来讲， 就是其实最大的一个特点，因为我们是那个富士胶片是日本的企业，日资的企业，大家都知道日本那个公司做事特别的仔细，特别的细致，非常的花时间，那个一点一点的打磨，把一件东西要打磨的非常可靠，那个才能够拿出来。特别像我们做那个胶卷更是这样，因为这是一件看不见的产品，又到了消费者手里，如果失败了，那会不会给消费者带来终身的遗憾？那所以那个他的做的产品就非常的牢靠，非常的关键。但现在的那个时代的速度就变得越来越快了，这个市场的变化也越来越快了。那中国的创新企业的特点就是它非常的很快的能够也跟随着市场的脚步的这步，非常迅速。那个看到有些新的趋势出来，马上就快速的应对，推出新的那个产品出来。那这一点，那个我们对大企业来讲，肯定是一种那个在速度上怎么样能够跟得上这个时代的进步，确实是一个非常大的挑战。我就感觉正是这样的一点，是属于那个像我们这样的大企业跟初创公司之间能够进行合作的一点。初创公司在那个速度上可以带着我们更快的往前进，而我们在技术方面扎实的这样的一种研究的那个基础，那个可靠性、信赖性，反过来可以支持初创企业更好的那个把他们的产品打造好。我们这是一种那个优势互补吧，就是我感觉到。
Thanks for sharing. Maybe we can come to the last question. Allan, you touched a little bit about how you guys use generative AI in the e-commerce transformation at Sense. Maybe you can elaborate more and tell us like your guys' future initiatives and future plans in this front.
Yeah, I love to. Yeah, I think it's about on content creation. So before we're talking about the first generations of marketing creating content. We're creating a lot of content for a group of people. So in terms about a group of people is actually looking at the same message. And then we realized that on lately stage, we're talking about people will be actually in different segment. So we created content in terms about content by segment into groups on that part. But if we're talking about segment, it's also still a big group of people in terms about looking at similar content. It's not as that personalized enough. We bring a lot of effort before in order to make personalized content, make it segment, and then make it more personalized in order to attract customers on the marketing side, how they would like to read our content on that part. There's a lot of huge working jobs in terms about on the marketing team, how to create different content, even grouping together or how about the angles together. On the lately, we're talking about the AIGC content in terms about we can create different content. First of all, we understand about, through AI, we understand about customer preferences individually or actually being smaller groups on that part, more on that part. At the same time, while we understand about customers, we tailor-make content through the AIGC in terms about more personalized content. So it being more fitted into, I look into a full of content is actually more related or actually totally related to what I'm actually looking at. So that's actually the technology, especially I feel it this year, technology empower digital marketing on the marketing side, especially on the content because of the ChatGPT about a user interface that actually on the customer facing. This has been actually we leverage a lot on that part. Yeah.
Thanks. Angela, how about Swire? What are the innovative projects you guys are working on right now or for the coming year?
There's a lot, because we touch on so many different verticals. But in particular to generative AI, we actually just recently invested into this company that is using generative AI in construction scheduling and design. Because construction is notoriously known to be very manual. And more than 99% of construction projects are over time, over budget. And in construction safety, right, even one casualty is one casualty too many. And so we obviously work a lot in terms of scouting and developing technologies that we can use internally for construction. And that's a very big, exciting area for us.
Cool. James, are we going to hear more exciting news coming in the coming year from either OpenAI or Microsoft?
Well, I think, generative AI, it's really big thing. I think, as CEO of NVIDIA said, this is the, iPhone moment of AI. I think not just going to be Microsoft, a lot of other tech companies globally going to be actually announce a lot of interesting things. And I think more excitingly, it's like every company, every industry, whether it's Sans or Swire or Fuji, can utilize this AI technologies. Previously, as I mentioned, AI, it's, a human, if you are not programmer, if you want to talk to a machine, you need to have some software engineer to do it for you. But this generative AI actually enable everyone to be an innovator, everyone to be a builder. If you have some ideas, you can just using your natural language to talk to a machine. This is how exciting this technology is.
Ray， 想问一下您，富士就是未来1年有什么很新的计划在创新方面吗？可以给我们简短的 share 一下吗？
好的，那个富士胶片公司有一个口号叫 Never Stop， 提出这个 Never Stop 就是也告诉我们那个整个公司的员工，就是我们创新的脚步是永远不能停止。那么尽管大家都在评价富士胶片公司已经转型的非常的成功，但是时代的变化也越来越大，各种各样新的技术也在那个进来，我们那个更多要拥抱那个新的这些技术，然后让公司不断的那个升级，那个不断的进化，就随着这个时代的进步，自己本身不断的进化。就是未来这些像人工智能这样的一些那个也是肯定是要积极的去拥抱这样的一些技术来那个融化到我们的产品中。除此之外，那个富士胶片公司主要在高性能材料方面，那个也在那个发力，因为那个很多各种各样的技术，它都要有一个载体，这个载体的硬件的这样的一种载体在那里。那么这硬件的载体的制造，特别是中国，它是一个非常大的那个具有制造优势的一个地方，所以我们未来就跟在中国市场要在高性能材料方面，很好的跟中国市场各方面的企业大家进行交流互动，通过这些共创能够打制出更加那个新颖、更加智慧的一些解决方案出来。
Thanks all for your insights on innovation, and let's get a round of applause for all the speakers. And thanks for joining us.